Hello, everyone. GM Admiral here again with another episode of Modern Musings for the OverPower card game. First things first, as we're recording this, it's Monday the 21st, and the first ever OverPower regional happened this weekend. And there was $20,000 of prize money handed out among the top 8 contenders. I want to personally congratulate Phil Miller for an awesome win in the finals there. Bringing home that giant check of $10,000 was pretty awesome. So today, we're not going to talk a ton about the regional. However, we do know for sure that if you were watching the live stream and listening to commentary, that there were lots of conversations about what they were referring to as either chains or strings. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. We're gonna elaborate a little bit. What is a chain? How does it work? What are the things you need to look for? And so on and so forth. So I know that there was a big the week before the tournament. There was a big rules update saying that if you have someone that can actually chain into multiple other characters, that there were some changes there. So we're going to talk about that too as we're going over the cards. So before we get started, a chain is essentially a series of attacks that you can make before your opponent can make a turn on, making an attack on you, right? Overpower is very much an I attack you, you defend, you attack me, I defend type of game. However, there are cards in the game that let you speed that up, right? Where I can attack you, you defend, and then I can attack you again and you defend. And that's what's traditionally known as a chain. Some people do use the term string instead, but they are both the same. They are synonymous. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So let's switch over to my other camera angle. And the first, probably most common type of chain that people use are called teamworks. Teamworks are basically a universe card that does a couple of things, right? It acts as an attack. Typically, it's a 4 power attack in the modern format, although the 6 to use and 7 to use any powers are a 6 any power attack, which is interesting. They also tell you some icons that you can make what are called follow-up attacks on. And the way this works is I throw the teamwork at you. You have to defend, choose to defend this 4 energy attack in this case, okay? Once that attack has either hit or been defended, you then must make 1 follow-up attack with either combat or brute force in this case, okay? You may even follow it up with a 3rd attack if you wish, okay? You have to make the first follow-up. You do not have to make the second. Now, the one thing I'm going to point out to you is right over here on the side of the card is the first icon, okay? This first symbol tells us that when it is my turn, this teamwork must be the first card that I play. It cannot follow any other cards that say may make additional attack or anything. It must be the first card I play. And that's really, really important, right? Because if there are other cards that start creating chains and then you could make this, you could just make the chain a little bit longer. So there are a couple of these that have the first icon, and just know that it's the first thing you need to do on your turn. And of course, we know that there are many different types of teamworks out there that allow you to make these attacks, okay? So this is technically could be a chain of 3 attacks going at someone, a 4, and then whatever your 2 follow-ups are. Again, this is putting your opponent on the defense instead of allowing them to be offensive against you, right? They're using their cards, either placed or in hand, to block whatever it is that you are sending at them, okay? So teamworks are the first thing that do this. The other universe card that does this are called allies. And I saw a ton of allies on camera watching the regional this weekend. And I think it's because they're just really, really they speed up your special cards. So we'll see why in just a second. So there are 2 different kinds, right? There's the 5 to use with a 3 attack, and then there's also a 7 to use with a 2 attack. Most decks are running about 4 allies these days. There is also that really, really awesome event that lets you go search for allies and place them. So they're good to have in your deck at any rate. But the key is down here at the bottom. Teammate must play 1 special card. So you cannot attack with this unless you have a special card that can follow it up. All right. Notice again, it does have the first icon. So this has to be the first card that you play on your turn. So you make this attack, your opponent gets a chance to defend or not, and then you play whatever special card that you want. It can be an attack, or it could be something else entirely different. Like there are a lot of characters that have cards that are not considered attacks that you want into play. Like, you know, you could do either or, right? Some of the other chains that we'll be looking at in a few minutes here do talk specifically about other types of cards. So yeah, ally cards, I highly recommend having them in your deck. They speed you up, and they give you an attack that goes alongside with maybe your specials that wouldn't be attacks that you can play. All right, so this is kind of a silly one. I needed to throw this in there. Asclepion, the home base, is a chain enabler, okay? Asclepion allows you to make attacks after you've removed hits. So like the Mummy 7 here, the Mina Harker 7, right? They kind of, if you are playing Asclepion and you remove the hit, it does allow you to draw a card and make another attack, which is technically a chain, right? So just be aware that if you are playing Asclepion, you might want a few of these. If Mina Harker has her 7 as well. You've also got the remove of hits that can allow you to make an additional attack as well. But remember, that attack cannot have the first icon, you know, when you make it. So just think about that. Asclepion has a lot of cards that can kind of create a chain, even though that wasn't the original intention. So let's talk about chains that require a little bit of work to get off. Okay. So Anubis, it has this 5 half multi. It's Lord of the Sacred Land. It is an attack. And typically this would just be a level 5 attack that your opponent can attack or defend if they wish. However, this states if not successful, so if your opponent chooses to block this, Anubis may attack the same target with the top card of his power pack. Target may defend. So this by itself is not a chain. However, once your opponent blocks this, you get to throw another card, which effectively makes this a short 2-card chain against that particular opponent. Same thing with Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde has this really great, fun card that is like trampling over the front line and into the rear ranks. It's a 6 brute force. However, if it is defended, he may make 1 additional attack against the reserve character. So just like what we looked at with Anubis, if this attack becomes blocked, you can then make an attack against the reserve character. Now, typically, reserve characters don't have high stats. Typically, they don't have a lot of defense. So getting an attack off on the reserve is really, really good when you start talking about Venture, right? Now, what is great, it says 1 additional attack. It doesn't say power card. It doesn't say special card. It can be either or. So that's a really, really good way to start getting a little mini chain. Again, it's 2 cards, really, right? And then lastly, Tarkus has something similar to Anubis's 5 half multi, but it's a 6 intelligence. If defended, draw the top card of the draw pile. If the drawn card is an attack, Tarkus must immediately attack with it, ignoring all requirements and without making any required follow-ups. So that's actually really important that we should talk about right now. When you get free attacks like this off the top of your deck, you never get to make the follow-ups. So if you were to play this card and it gets defended and you go ahead and you draw the top card of your deck, and it's a teamwork, you only get the first part of that teamwork, which would be the 4 energy attack. No follow-ups can be made. And that's written into the rules. It's also here on this card as a reminder that whatever it is that you throw as a free attack off this card is the only attack you can make, even though it might say make some follow-ups. So these are all situational. These are you require something else to be happening in the game to start the chain, and they're also only two card chains if you stop and think about it. So another thing that I really like is being able to play specials relatively quickly. There are 3 characters in the game that have acts as a level 5 attack, and then they may play 1 additional special card. So Moriarty is a great one because he doesn't have a ton of attack cards. He has a lot of cards that do things when they're in play. So like you could play this and then get into your Mathematical Genius. You could throw this and then, you could potentially do your 3 half multi and then cycle that into Mathematical Genius as well. 3 Musketeers, this is spectacular because all of their specials are attacks, right? Like they have so much venture in their special slots that being able to speed this up. The other cool thing is that 5 intelligence is kind of an offsuit for the 3 Musketeers. So this card's really good. And lastly, Dracula. This is a big one because Dracula has a lot of cards. I think he has 4 cards that all need to be put into play to have effects. So normally taking a turn off to just put a card into play is not super beneficial, okay? However, if you can make a 5 combat attack and kind of think of that second card, that special card, as part of that attack, it is kind of cool. It speeds you up a little bit. So I really like to get at least one of these in my Dracula decks, just so I can get my my cards that need to be in play a little bit faster. All right, here's the big ones. The big ones are cards that allow you to just make additional attacks, right? And there are several cards that do this. You will notice that some of these cards are any characters that do not have the first symbol. So we have the 4 different icons. This one's Draconic Leadership, but there's one for each of the 4 colors. And it acts as a level 4 intelligence attack. It's an assist. May make 1 additional attack. So you can only have 1 assist in your deck. Typically, you want to be looking for icons that there aren't a lot of in your deck already. Or if you want to just try to get a little bit more venture, there's also the 5 any power one. I don't often see this one played a lot, but it is there if you want to just start making some bigger hits. We also have the any home base aspect cards. Again, 1 for each color, right? Now, the one thing about these is that they all have the first icon. So these aspect cards need to be the first card that are played on your turn. We do have 1 for each color, and there is the multi-power one. So when you are deciding which one of these you want to have in your deck, which really you just should, you need to decide which icon works best for you, or do you want the multi, which is hitting for a little bit less damage, but it does count as that multi-power, which is pretty important as well. So yeah, and the one key thing to remember about aspects is you have to have a home base in order to use them. These come from your home base. They're not thrown out by any characters. So if characters are locked out or aren't allowed to make attacks, you can still fling these from your battle site, which is kind of cool. And of course, a couple of the characters have just a basic 4, make 1 additional attack. Angry Mob has one. Carson of Venus has one. Carson of Venus is interesting because it's intelligence, and he has a couple of different attack cards, so that's kind of cool. I love this one for Count of Monte Cristo. This is acts as a level 4 brute force attack. Count of Monte Cristo may make 1 additional numerical attack face down. So that's really important. So where these are just make 1 additional attack, right? So I could, in theory, play this Carson of Venus card and then play my Grim Reaper. This Count of Monte Cristo card does not let you do that. It has to be a numerical attack, right? So that can be a special card. It can be a power card, though. But what's great is you play it face down, and your opponent has to guess the defense. So sending a level 1 power card face down and seeing them waste a 6 to block it, always a lot of fun. I really, really, really like this card. Deja has a 4 brute force, make an additional. Dr. Watson has a 4 combat, make an additional. This one's interesting. So there was a lot of chatter this weekend on whether or not we would see Merlin and an old school negate style deck coming back into the format. I did see a couple of Merlins, but not a ton, and I don't think there was a single Merlin in the top 8. I could be wrong about that because deck lists were not published yet. Hopefully they'll get out there eventually. But this is a 4/2 multi. It is energy and combat, right? The combat is offsuit from Merlin. And it's level 4 multi-power, may make 1 additional attack. So Merlin can throw this and then a 7 energy if he wants, which is kind of cool. Probably the best one of these in the set, I think, would be Sherlock Holmes. Acts as a level 4 multi-power, may make 1 additional attack. So multi-power, right, is really, really important to get hits on. Now, what is kind of cool about this is if you start doing a chain, like an aspect card, and then you follow it up with one of these assists, and then following it up with this, and then Sherlock Holmes plays another attack, that is perfectly okay. You've got like a 4-card chain there that works pretty well. It is possible. It does get a little bit annoying when you're defending, trying to block all this stuff. But it is perfectly acceptable. Victory has this 3 multi-power, may make 1 additional, right? Just like the Sherlock 4. Very, very powerful card. And then Morgan Le Fay, this one is super unique. And there's only like 1 or 2 of these in the entire game, even the old sets. Which is a level 3 combat attack. Morgan Le Fay may make 1 additional attack with a teammate's special card. A special card may be placed anywhere or in hand. So what's awesome about this is Morgan Le Fay could play this card and then play Sherlock Holmes's 4 and then make another additional attack. So she can chain into a big chain herself, which is kind of awesome. So there are also chain cards that allow you to make multiple different attacks. And that is where I think this big ruling that came out last week really comes into play. I know Dave was working really hard on the wording for it. It is similar to what the Legacy environment uses for their ruling on chains, because apparently someone really broke things and was able to get like a 10-card chain off, which is very, very tough to defend. So this is Master Archer for Robin Hood. Again, it's a 3 multi. However, it's a 1 per deck, and it says Robin Hood may make 2 additional attacks. So what happens if one of those 2 different additional attacks is a chain card, right? So we already saw that any characters do not have the first symbol, which they probably should, looking back on it. But Robin Hood could do this, a power card attack, and then attack with this, and then do another power card attack. So there's a lot of possibilities. And as long as Robin Hood is the one that's making all the attacks, there's no real interaction with the new rule that was posted last week. This one's fun from Zorro. I've still yet to see it go off. I've even been cutting it from a few decks just because a 2 combat doesn't really seem like it's beneficial to me. But he may make 2 additional combat attacks against the same character. So that's the part that's kind of challenging, is that the follow-up attacks must be combat. And then if any of the 3 attacks are successful and the target has 15 or more damage, the character is KO'd regardless. So neat idea. It's obviously to represent the Z, right, that he's marking, right, 3 quick strokes. And it's a way to do, basically, it allows you to make 3 attacks in a row. And again, if we think about this, right, and we start looking at how chains work, you could, in theory, go one of your aspects, any home base, right? Then you could play your assist. Then you could play 3 quick strokes. And then you could make the 2 additional attacks. So getting all of these attacks off, that would be 5 attacks. That's a lot happening all at once before your opponent gets a chance to even react, really. So it's a very, very cool way to get multiple attacks off. We also have the quite similar to Robin Hood, Angry Mob. This is Middle Ages, has a 3 energy, and make 2 additional attacks at +2. That +2 is not added to Venture, but that's pretty scary right there on its own, right? Getting +2 to 2 different attacks. So I could, in theory, do this, play a 6 energy, and it would count as an 8 energy, and then I could play this, it would count as a 6, and so on and so forth. So lots of potential there for some big hits. All right, here's where things start getting a little bit out of hand, and what kind of forced this rule that we saw, which basically says if a chain has 2 characters following it up, neither of those 2 characters can continue making chains. Okay? Now, if there is only 1 character following it up, that character can continue the chain how they want. So like this card, Inspirational Leadership, says, acts as a level 4 combat attack. Each frontline teammate may make 1 additional attack, right? So this is where both of her partners, both of her frontliners, can make attacks as well. And what was happening is you could spill those attacks into multiple chains each, and that prompted the rules clarification that Dave posted last week before the tournament. So if you have 2 people following up a chain card, neither one of those characters can play additional chain cards, essentially. And they can play them, but the chains won't happen, essentially. So really important here. And also you got to make sure that the follow-ups don't have the first icon as well. And of course, Cthulhu has this as well. The difference is Cthulhu can play his from reserve if he discards a card, right? I remember when playtesting this card, it originally said each frontline teammate can make an additional attack, so all 3 of them were doing it. And the feedback was that was way too powerful, and there were way too many attacks being flung, right? When playing the game, you want to have your opportunity to attack back as well. Well, this card was making it very, very hard to do that, especially in late game. And now is 2 in the front can make an attack. And if you do both of them, again, they can't continue chaining. However, if only 1 makes the attack, they can actually chain away as they see fit. So making multiple attacks, typically those attacks are going to be smaller, and they're going to try to prompt your opponent to use cards to block to keep their characters alive. And that is really important, that those cards are being used to block instead of coming at you as a means to force you to block. So it's always important, and it's also always a good idea to have a few chains in your deck. Like the Teamworks especially. Like I typically run 6 Teamworks, maybe 5 or 6 Teamworks. I always have my any home base aspect and my assist in my deck. It's not even a question. There's no reason not to, because they are allowing us to do multiple things at once. Like I said, I try to run 4 allies whenever I can, because I believe that they power up a lot of these chains as well. So that is chaining, folks. Who's your favorite chain character? What's the longest chain that you've ever done? Were you ever a part of a 10 card chain? Because that is a story that I want to hear about. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today, folks. I'm just a relatively quick one today. And let's just make sure that we congratulate all of our friends that went out to Seattle and made the first regional a success. I know that a lot of the Lazarus Rising folks who were working behind the scenes on commentary production, judging and things like that, we're all very, very proud of the community and how it came together. It sounds like there were a lot of people just coming into the shop and Zulu Games and seeing like just watching the players play. And that's really how we're going to continue to hook more. So Yeah, 30 plus people for regional, not too shabby. I think that we can do better, right? I do think that now that this has happened and we know Ohio is coming, and I think that now that we've gotten a chance to see how the format is kind of shaping itself, we might be able to make some decks that maybe work in the meta a little bit better. Um, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in Ohio. I think I actually get to go this year, which is super duper exciting. And I'll probably play in both tournaments if I do go, just for fun. So anyway, hey, if you like these videos, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Like and comment. All of this stuff really helps YouTube push the video out to more people, because I really think beginners can learn a lot from some of this stuff that we're talking about. Of course, I do not consider myself, a goat of the game. I probably still make mistakes when I'm talking to you all. I'm just doing my best to try to show you how it all works, what the terminology means, and like some options that may arise for you. Like I know for sure that I messed up on the last video that I did, just briefly talking about placing after betting had happened, which you totally can't do. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. And if you have questions or you have comments or you have insights into what's the best way to get these chains off, please post them in the comments below so that everyone who is just learning this game has an opportunity to come down and and get some knowledge from the pros, right? Because this game will only grow larger the more knowledge that we share. And when I heard that there was going to be deck lists and deck registration and deck checks at the tournament this weekend, like I was over the moon, because this is something that's kind of been missing from tournaments in the community for some time. And lots of times we like to hold close what our specific formula is for an overpower deck. And I think that gifting that knowledge to others will just create a larger player base with more competitive matches, and hopefully keep this game around for a long time to come. So anyway, I'm GM Admiral, and give me a like and a subscribe if you enjoy the content. We'll talk to you later.